What's going on, guys? So normally this channel is all about preparedness, building skills, staying resilient, and yeah, we lean pretty hard on the communication side of thing because that's where my focus likes to be, and we're going to be heading back there real soon and getting real deep into it. But right now there's just so much happening that affects all of us, really, whether we're into preparedness or not. And honestly, it's just been kind of weighing on me because preparedness isn't just about gear or guns or training or food storage or even comms. It's about awareness. And then usually all of those things just organically follow on once you are aware. It's about seeing the bigger picture, recognizing the patterns, and understanding that the forces that could shape our future. So I need to talk about something that, for lack of better terms, has really just slipped under the radar. Something that was signed quietly with almost no coverage, but with consequences that could touch every single one of us. And it's called the Genesis mission. And if you haven't heard of it, that's exactly the problem. Have you noticed how the news cycle lately just feels like a flood of distractions? I've been talking a lot about that here recently with everything going on. First, we had more Epstein files that, just suddenly surface. Then the shocking reports about Afghan nationals, and those incidents just dominate the headlines. Each story explosive, each one pulling our attention in a dozen different directions. And while we were glued to those stories, something massive slipped through almost unnoticed. I literally just stumbled upon it. On November 24th, right before Thanksgiving, the White House signed an executive order. No press conference, no headlines, no debate, just silence. And it was the Genesis mission. And if you are still just getting made aware about this now, we're going to get into it because the Genesis is framed as a national mobilization for science. The White House themselves compares it to Apollo or even the Manhattan Project. And it promises to accelerate discovery using artificial intelligence that is linked together just a massive federal data sets and supercomputers. And all of this kind of sounds inspiring, right? A new dawn for medicine, climate research, energy breakthroughs. But here's the thing. Why was this signed in silence? Why drop it on a holiday news cycle when the public wasn't paying attention? They know that's the case. That's a common ploy. Maybe because the less we look, the less we will question. Think back to 2001. The Patriot Act was rushed through after 9/11. It expanded surveillance powers. It lowered barriers for intelligence sharing and gave a lot of agencies unprecedented authority to collect data. Now, they say that Genesis isn't about terrorism, that it's about science, but the infrastructure it creates, centralized data sets, AI models that are trained on government information, national labs running integrated platforms, all of these, good things could easily be repurposed. And that's how they always sell everything, right? It's always about safety. That's the parallel. The Patriot Act built surveillance pipelines. Genesis builds AI pipelines. Both concentrate power, both expand reach, both risk that mission creep. So let's break down for a second what Genesis actually does, or probably a better term, is supposed to do. First thing is energy data. Things like smart meters, grid usage, infrastructure records. Great for efficiency research, but that also makes it capable of revealing when you're home, what you're doing, even getting a handle on what your daily routines are. Then you have the health data side of it, the NIH and CDC data sets, perfect for drug discovery, but then also being capable of predicting vulnerabilities, profiling populations, and flagging behaviors. There's also the transportation data, the DOT and NASA records, which are useful for climate modeling, but then are also capable of reconstructing your movements, your commutes, even your social life. And then linked to all this, the communication metadata. Even without content, AI can map networks, affiliations, and even anomalies. So when you link all of this together, you don't just get science, you get surveillance. Now, here's the part nobody's talking about. The sheer amount of electricity that these AI centers consume. You're talking training large AI models, which require megawatts of power. Data centers already rival small cities in energy demand, and Genesis calls for supercomputers, national labs, and integrated platforms, meaning that the energy footprint would be absolutely enormous. So ask yourself, why is the government pushing this so hard, knowing the strain it will put on the grid? Is Genesis really about science, or is it also about building infrastructure that justifies new energy policies, new surveillance of power usage, or even new control of how electricity flows? Think about it. If AI centers consume as much power as entire towns, doesn't monitoring and managing that energy become a form of control in itself? And what about the partnerships that go along with projects like this? Genesis explicitly calls for collaboration with universities and corporations. So that means private sector partners could gain access not only to federal data sets, but also to the massive energy infrastructure supporting them. And then you got to ask yourself, who benefits from that, and who pays the bill, whether it's in dollars or electricity, or maybe even in privacy. Not to mention the fact that Genesis is written in technical language. It's framed as science mobilization, not surveillance, which is kind of purposely done so that it doesn't sound alarming. But that's exactly how sweeping changes slip through. Quietly, technically, and without debate. The Patriot Act came in, that was loud, rushed, and controversial. So maybe that was just a huge learning tool for all of the elites. Genesis has been quiet and technical and so far pretty much unnoticed, but the impact of it could be just as profound. And while we're distracted by scandal after scandal, Genesis just quietly becomes permanent. So let me just put together a hypothetical timeline for you. Let's say we picture the next 5 to 10 years. So basically we're going to have phase one. So Genesis accelerates science. You're going to have breakthroughs in medicine, in energy, in the climate. Everybody thinks it's good. Then you have phase two. The agency's expanded scope, more data sets, more models, more partners. So then phase three, you get this mission creep. Now your AI models are adapted for monitoring. So now phase four, now you're getting the surveillance backbone powered by massive energy-hungry AI centers. And that's the trajectory. It's not only concerning, it's a little scary how fast that could move. And now, let me just kind of give you the conspiracy angle. Let me ask you and ask yourself, and then let me know in the comments your thoughts on this part. Is Genesis truly America's next great leap forward? Or is it the silent construction of a digital panopticon powered by AI? Why was it signed in silence? Why no debate? And why centralize so much power, both in data and in literal energy, especially all that in one platform? Because Genesis could be the dawn of a new scientific revolution, or the genesis of something far darker. So guys, with that, stay curious, stay vigilant, because sometimes the biggest changes don't come with headlines. They come with silence. So hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, be safe.